All right, let's get into Masters of the Universe Revelation. And I want to start by saying I will not going to be tolerating any bullshit, so the comments are going to be turned off for this video because it's I know why people have their issues with this, but I don't understand it at the same time. You know, the big thing that people are complaining about is He-Man isn't the main character. Yeah, well, it's not He-Man in the Masters of the Universe. It's called Masters of the Universe. I'd also like to preface this by saying there's 5 episodes of this show out. He-Man is in every episode. Or Prince Adam is in every episode. The character you are saying isn't the lead is in every episode of a show that's not the story about him. So shut up, okay? And I also want to say this. The cartoon from the 80s is terrible. Okay? It's a marketing ploy to sell toys to kids. It is cheaply animated. It is boring. It is dumb. It is just like people talking to the camera half the time, just being like, don't start a fire unless you want to like put it out with an adult or something. That's it. That's all that is. So don't tell me that the 80s cartoon is a masterpiece, because it's not. And I have nostalgia for it. I've watched it. I've liked it. I know what it is, and I think it's enjoyable. And I think what Revelations did was turn that concept into something that people think they remember the show being. If you were like to close your eyes and think about Masters of the Universe, you're going to remember the 80s cartoon looking and feeling and sounding like Revelations. So that is a cool natural progression. It's also a cool natural progression because the story takes place after the events of that original cartoon, and we see the evolution of these characters. We see that Teela is going to become the new Man-at-Arms because Duncan is going to retire. So yes, Teela, a main character in the original cartoon who didn't happen to know everything about Prince Adam and He-Man, is now taking center stage in the sequel series? Yeah, that makes sense. That's believable. That character would totally, 100% go this direction. A story about these characters would totally, 100% go that direction. Why are you complaining? How can you tell me this doesn't make sense for the lore? If you're telling me there was a major event that somehow just took He-Man and Skeletor off the map for a little bit, that Teela wouldn't become the main character. I don't understand, people, but that's the case. That is what happens in this show. All that aside, I think this is a really good program. It's got the same animation style of things like Castlevania, like Blood of Zeus. I've liked both of those properties for what they are, but I think Master of the Universe works a little bit better for me just because it's bright, it's got the colors, it's a lot like the original cartoon in terms of the dialogue even. It's a little more playful than you're expecting, and I think a lot of that has to do with just like the people working on this wanted you to know what the cartoon was and have that feeling while still giving you the evolution and the next step in that character, and I really like what that was. It just worked so well. All the character designs are fantastic in the past and in the future. They look really good. Maybe not the future, in the present I should say. They look really cool. You just see like the world without magic has taken its toll on these people, and you really feel that. You just get like that, this is a broken society. Everybody's hurt from this, even those who you might not expect. It looks really cool, and that just adds an extra layer to that feeling. The storyline for Teela herself, a woman who once believed in this society, who now sees it crumbles because of the lies that the previous generation brought to her, that's believable too. That makes sense to me. If Teela just saw like, look at what you've done keeping secrets from the people and how it destroyed things, and look at what the world's come to, I believe a character would act that way. I believe Teela would act that way. I think that works really well. And her characterization in the present day stuff, I think it's a little messy at times where it's like we have to put her in this box to get things here, but it works really well as compared to other things. And I really enjoy just Teela's journey being like the I hate this to I'm submitting to this and I'm comfortable with it to I accept this is the world and I have to play my part in it. It's a very good story. It's a great arc for her character and is only amplified by the people around here. I'm very surprised Evelyn got as much play as she did. I think that worked really well for what they wanted to do with that character. Very fun stuff. Man-at-Arms, Duncan, seeing him just as like the old like Commissioner Gordon type character, I think it worked really well. Can we agree now that he's based on Tom Selleck? Like, can we just accept that? Because like, what else would it be? I love that. Surprisingly, Orko had a really good journey, and Orko, a character I couldn't tolerate in the cartoon, They made him into something I liked. The sad clown. I love the idea of what they did with Orko here, because make that character the joke, but also give him those moments. That was really fun to see. Cringer had some great moments too. Stinkor was in this for a bit. Merman surprised me. I was like, this is how you do Merman. That's cool. Triclops. Are you kidding me? That might be the highlight of me. It's just like when you take these characters off the table, it's like when you get rid of Batman and the Joker, who fills that void? Apparently it's Triclops. I'm like, that's brilliant. I love that storyline. And even though like Skeletor and He-Man aren't these main players in the story, which is what is pissing people off, it makes sense. It's that classic thing, is like, if you take Batman and Joker off the table, who fills in that void? It's Dick Grayson. It's the Riddler. It's all these characters you already know, and it's not the story of Batman and Joker. It becomes the story of these other people, but it's just the natural progression of the Batman and Joker story. So why are people upset about this? I don't get it. I don't understand that. Even so, I think my biggest complaint about the show was it's just Mark Hamill doing his gruffy voice of Skeletor. That didn't work for me. And I'll be honest, I'm honestly surprised that Chris Wood's He-Man sounded as good as it did. That was very impressive. And like I said, he's in every episode. The animation is surprisingly fluid too, like even in moments where you're like, oh, you can cut back here. You see it a few times in the later episodes, but I think when you're like, we could cut back here and focus on just like the characters and the story without having like the hardcore animation, they go for the hardcore animation, which is very impressive to see from a show like this. I mean, because they didn't cut corners where they could, which is something I'm always looking forward to seeing in an animation project, where you can cut the corner and whether choose not to. And they didn't cut that many corners in here, which I really enjoyed seeing. The story is very fun. It's kind of like a darker tale on the myth of Eternia and how we're going to go through this world and navigate this new era when things are their bleakest, which I'm like, that's a thing I'm amazed people aren't liking as much as they are, like these hardcore fans who know everything about Masters of the Universe, because it's bleak in a way that works, but keeps true to what those characters were, and that energy is very fun. The voice acting surprisingly works. I was very hesitant about Sarah Michelle Gellar doing Teela, but I think overall I have more positives to say than negatives on it. Like, I just don't know if she got like some of the like more like gruff beats perfectly, but she made it work. Griffin Newman as Orko was great. Liam Cunningham as Man-at-Arms was fantastic, but Lena Headey is a great choice for Evelyn. I bought that completely. That works so well. Evelyn has a great story in this show, and I thought that was incredible. And this is just taking those nothing characters from the 80s cartoons who don't have any personality or anything happening with them and giving them a storyline. And I think you could even look at this as a way like Teela and Evelyn were connected to these two men who almost ruined their lives because of their secrets and their boastering, this being like these powerful men doing their bullshit. And now when those men are gone, they have to fill in the ranks of those roles and become these different types of people. I think that's great. That's a great story, and you give those characters actual depth. And I think what surprised me the most is that Kevin Smith worked on this, because it doesn't have his normal like flair to it, which I understand some people love, some people don't. I'm a fan of Kevin Smith. I think he's somebody we should aspire to be, just in terms of being like, yeah, man, you are given so many opportunities to make stuff you want with your friends. Have fun doing that. Don't complain, just do it. I like this. I think it's fun. I think it's engaging, and I think this is a property that deserved the love and respect it's gotten and doesn't deserve the hate it has going for it right now. It's not a He-Man story, it's a Masters of the Universe story, and once we accept that, we can see that there's some beautiful animation with beautiful colors that pays homage to that really shitty 80s cartoon that some of you think is perfect, and it just moves the story forward and gives real depth to some of these characters that you probably wouldn't be expecting to have depth. I love this. I think we need more stuff like this. If we saw a Thundercats like this, a Silverhawks like this, anything else in this style, I think we could be in a new era of 80s animation having actual story and heart to it. I really enjoyed what Masters of the Universe Revelations had to offer, and I encourage you, if you are hesitant because of the reviews that people are bombing this because it's woke and, social justice and all that bullshit, it's none of those things. It's taking a character from the cartoon who had her time, who didn't really get any moment to really play then, and making her a prominent character, because that's what the story would become, that's what the character would become, and that is what He-Man would let her become. It's perfect, it's fun, it is Masters of the Universe to a T, so please don't be negative, don't hate on this, let it exist, and let a new generation see what we can do when we put actual heart and soul into this world. So, Masters of the Universe Revelations Part 1, I am going to give an 8 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.